Go. Boys, I'm excited for this one. This is a big one. Today, I'm going to give you the step-by-step roadmap that you need to build muscle. And this can take you from complete beginner to advanced lifter in less than a year. And I'll be real honest with you. I'll be honest up front. You're going to like what I have to say, but at the same time, you are not going to like what I have to say. Because the bad news is that this stuff, building muscle, takes time. And anybody who tells you it doesn't, quite frankly, is lying to you. Now, of course, the shortcut, if you want one, is the steroids route. However, the cost that you will pay, well, I can't really talk to that because I've never done it, but it won't take you very long to research the cost of taking steroids. And I would say, particularly if you are a newbie, I would encourage you to go down the natural route for as long as you possibly can before you even consider going down the enhanced route. But the good news is that if you follow what I'm going to say to you step by step and you don't skip any steps, you are literally guaranteed to build muscle, build a better body, feel more confident, and just generally have peace of mind that you're doing the right thing. Which I think, if I could have found this video 15 years ago, it would have been amazing. So that's kind of what I'm creating this for. I'm creating this for 20-year-old Doug. And the closer that you follow this, the faster you'll get the result and the better the result will be. So I would genuinely encourage you to pause this video for 1 second and get a pen and paper and write some notes down. Because unless you're watching on your computer and you can make notes on your phone, or vice versa, I suppose. Okay, let's get into it. We've got 7 steps. Okay, I've actually written some notes for this one. Genuinely really excited. Okay, step 1, very straightforward. Get a gym membership. A pretty vital step, but it's a big step as well because it requires some financial outlay. It requires some decision making because there's probably a few gyms that you could join, and it requires the confidence and the effort to actually walk into the gym and to say, hello, I would like a membership, please. Here is my name. Here is my bank details. Please take my money and give me access to your gym. Now, I would recommend that you join what I guess you would consider the scariest gym in your area. Now, to me, that basically is like the local bodybuilding gym. I wouldn't personally go down the road of signing up to a Pure Gym or The Gym or I don't know what the equivalent is, Planet Fitness or something like that. I would go to a gym where there are guys there who are really trying to do what you want to do and who are ahead of you and who have done what you are trying to do and who you can learn from. But not just learn from. If you are in an environment where there are other guys trying to do the same thing and they are pushing themselves hard, you will not only learn from that, but you will push yourself harder. I can speak to this from my own experience. I live in Spain now. When I used to train in London, I'd be regularly training at, Pure Gyms, The Gyms and stuff like that, and a couple of other ones, but very commercial gyms. And the reason being is that London doesn't have many bodybuilding gyms because they require quite a lot of space. Obviously, space is at a premium in London, and so gyms operate at a pretty thin margin, so you don't tend to get many bodybuilding gyms unless you go out to East and you go to Muscleworks, or you go down south and you go to Kings. Shout out to Kings, big fan. But these gyms, they are high testosterone environments, and they are going to get you the best result. So as scary as it is, I would say to jump headfirst into this and sign up to what you would consider the scariest gym in your area. You don't want it to be miles away. Like, I would say within a 20-minute walk or drive. Okay, so it's going to be at least, up to 20 minutes there and up to 20 minutes back, okay? So that's step 1. Step 2 is I actually want you to go to the gym one time for 45 minutes. And honestly, I really don't care if you just go to the gym and stand in the corner. I just want you to get comfortable spending time there in the environment, but I also want you to get into the habit and the routine of actually going. Because more often than not, whenever we're starting something new, we don't have the formula of a habit in our brain, the cue, the routine, and the reward. We don't have that built in, so we have to just start doing it. And you have to be when you're first starting something, it's very conscious, right? And we want you to be unconsciously competent and confident at this new habit that you're going to build in, okay? I should have said as well that I suppose you can pick up this video at whatever step you feel you're at, but I'm going from complete beginner all the way to advanced lifter, okay? So yeah, at this stage, you don't need a training program. I don't really care how many reps you're doing, how many sets you're doing. My advice would be to start with simple bodyweight exercises. So some press ups, some bodyweight squats, some walking lunges just with body weight, just to get yourself moving, just to get yourself confident in that place. What I would also do is start playing around with some of the less scary machines. So probably like the upper body machines. Don't just go straight away day one in the gym and jump on like a hack squat, for example. That's obviously a very advanced piece of machinery and it's something you want to build up to over time. But right now, at your first gym session, you don't need to be worrying about a hack squat, but I would get comfortable on, for example, the pin loaded chest press. Not a lot can go wrong when you're lifting light weights on a pin loaded chest press. And that's a very important point to make. Do not go in and try and push a full stack or anything like that. Start super light. Do not worry about what other people are thinking about you in the gym. I guarantee you, the people who you are looking up to the most in these gyms, the guys who are the biggest or the most confident or whatever that might be, they're the ones who are going to have the most respect for you for having the confidence to walk in and to start this journey. Because they, like me, we've all been there. We all remember our first time in a gym. I still to this day remember it. So we've all been there. You've just got to walk the same path. And these guys, the guys who have, earned that sort of position in the, invisible hierarchy in the gym will have the most respect for you. They'll also be the most helpful, by the way, as well. So if you ever need any help in a gym, go to the biggest, scariest looking dude. He'll probably be the nicest and the most helpful. Good piece of advice for you there. So that's step 2, okay? Step 3 is to now go to the gym 3 times in 1 week. So this is where we're really starting to solidify this habit. And each time you go, I want you to do some exercises for your legs. I want you to do some exercises for your chest, some exercises for your back, and some exercises for your arms. You don't need to massively overthink this. At this point, you still do not need a training program. We are just building the habit, building the confidence, making this more of an unconscious thing than a conscious thing, and just getting you in there regularly, okay? And what I would actually say at this stage, a good piece of advice would be just try as many pieces of the equipment as you feel confident in doing so. And as I say, like one very easy trick, and I've done this in gyms as well, is if you're not sure how to use a piece of equipment, basically just go and like kind of subtly stand near it and like almost pretend to do another exercise near it and watch someone else who looks like they are confident in using that machine. Funny story, when I first came out to Spain over a year ago now, which is crazy, the gym I go to has this one piece of equipment I've never seen in any other gym. I've probably trained in, 100 gyms in my life. Never seen this piece of equipment. And for the first 3 weeks, I was just stood there watching it. I was like, what is it? Because it was just like a pole and it had like a handle. And I was like, what is this? Like, I could not figure out what the purpose of this machine was. And then one guy, 3 weeks in, finally used it. And I realized it was a forearm curl machine. Very rare. And to this day, I've never used it because honestly, I'm just not going to waste my time. But there will always be, on the vast majority of most of the pieces of equipment, there'll be someone who is more competent and more confident in using that, who you can watch and then mimic. Now, that's not to say they're going to be using it with perfect form. And in fact, they'll have a rough idea. They're not, if you've got absolutely no idea, sometimes it can be quite intimidating. You're walking up to a piece of machinery and you're like, I just don't even know where to start. You don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to embarrass yourself. So I can completely understand why it puts people off. So I would literally just go and watch someone else do it. And it's funny, my old business partner, Harry, and I, we've had this conversation in the past where we've gone to a new gym and literally done the exact same thing. So even people who are relatively advanced in sort of their gym career, as it were, their lifting career, they're doing this as well, because different gyms have different pieces of machinery and different machinery comes from different companies and they make it in slightly different ways. And yeah, there's a lot of variety with this stuff. So again, at this stage, we're just about building the confidence, building the competence, going in, trying as many pieces of machinery as you possibly can. At this stage, what I would also do is start watching some more YouTube content like this video. Start watching exercise tutorials, start looking at different training programs that could work for you, but don't commit to anything at this stage. Just start to be a bit more inquisitive, start to do a little bit of research. You don't have to spend hours doing this, 10 minutes a day. You could even do it whilst you're in the gym, like listening to a podcast or in between your rest periods between your exercises or something like that. You could even do that. So that's step 3. Step 4. Step 4 is where we start to step things up a little bit, ironically. So at this stage, you will have gotten used to the gym, and we can start to introduce some concepts and a training program, okay? So at this stage, you need to realize if you're a complete beginner, the more you train, as long as you train with good form and you're not acting like an idiot, the better the results you will get, because you're in a position where you're able to take advantage of newbie gains, which there's probably a much better scientific term for this, but it's quite commonly known as newbie gains, where you put on the most amount of muscle at the beginning of your lifting career as your body adapts to this new stimulus that you are putting under, this new stress that you're putting it under, okay? Now, what you also get with that is the worst DOMS, delayed onset of muscle soreness. So for 2, 3, 4, 5 days after a workout, your muscles in whatever you've used are going to hurt. But I would say as much as you can, not every single day, I'm not saying you need to do that, but let's say you're trying to aim for 3 to 5 sessions a week, push through that a little bit. And depending on how many days you can commit to going is going to dictate your split. So let's say you can train 3 days a week. If you could train 3 days a week, I'd want you to be doing 3 full body sessions, okay? If you could be training 4 days a week, I'd be doing an upper body session, a lower body session, then I'd rest, and then I'd do another upper body and another lower body, okay? So that's 2 upper bodies and 2 lower bodies with a rest day in between. But you're splitting it upper, lower, rest, upper, lower, rest, if that makes sense, okay? Now, if you can train 5 days, I would do a push day, a leg day, a pull day, a rest, and then I would do an upper body day and a lower body day and then a rest, okay? This is actually what I do myself at the moment. And a push day, for example, is more sort of like chest, triceps, and shoulder movements. So like you're pushing the weight away from you. And a pull day is where you are pulling the weight towards you. So it's going to be more back, mostly back, to be honest. Back and biceps is pretty much a pull day. And then legs, pretty self-explanatory. Upper body is anything in the upper part of your body, and lower body, again, same thing. If you can go all in and train 6 days a week, then I would do push, legs, pull, rest, and then I would repeat that. So I would go push, legs, pull, rest, push, legs, pull, rest. Yeah, basically. So it's more of an 8-day split, that, because you still want to have that second rest day in between. So it's not going to be exactly fit into a week, but that's how I would basically structure it, okay? I like the 5 days because it means that on I know what I'm training on each day of the week, if that makes sense. At this stage, stick to dumbbells and machines. Leave the barbells for another day. We can come on to those. And then in terms of concepts, this is what the two concepts mainly that I want to introduce you to. So on a training side of things, I want to introduce you to progressive overload. So this is where you are increasing the amount of volume that you are lifting over a period of time. It sounds more complicated than it is. Very simply put, volume is the amount of weight you're lifting times by the total number of reps that you've done. So if you have done 3 sets of 10, that's 30 reps, okay? And if you have done 30 reps and you have lifted on any exercise, this is 10 kilos, then that's going to be 10 times by 30, which is, Jesus Christ, this is embarrassing. Oh my God, my brain is not working today. 300. Sorry, I had like 4 hours sleep last night. You have to excuse me. So yeah, that's going to be 300. So that's your volume for that exercise for day 1, let's say. The next time you do that exercise, your goal is to increase your volume from 300 to whatever you can increase it to. Now, most people will do this by increasing the weight that they are lifting, but please know at this stage that you could increase the number of reps per set, or you could even increase the number of sets. So if you have more time, you can do an extra set if you wanted to. But the easiest way, particularly at the beginning, is to just keep adding more weight until you can't add more weight without compromising your form. Because remember, pretty much the most important thing is to be lifting with the correct form, because that way you're going to feel it the most in the working muscle, which is important. But probably the most important thing is that you're going to avoid injury, or you're going to decrease your probability of getting injured, which in my opinion is literally the most important thing, because if you get injured, your training volume goes to 0, your chance of building any muscle also goes to 0. So what we're really trying to do here is just avoid getting injured. So lots of knowledge I just threw at you there. So that's progressive overload, that's your training. On the nutrition side of things, at this stage, I want you to figure out your maintenance calories, okay? So there's a number of calories that you burn based on your lifestyle. And the easiest way to do this is a very rudimentary, rough formula, but it's surprisingly accurate actually, is you take your body weight in pounds, so not kilos, in pounds. So if you know it in kilos, just go onto Google, type it in kilos, just put, I don't know, 80 kilos, 2 pounds, whatever. It'll spit out the pounds number and then multiply the pounds number by 15, okay? So that's your maintenance calorie number. Now what I want you to do is add 10% to that. So the easiest way to do that, let's say your maintenance calorie comes out to 2,500, okay? All I'm gonna do, sorry, I'm trying to pull up my calculator again. So I'll just say 2,500, I'm gonna go times 1.1. So that's 10%. So it's 2,750, okay? That is the number of calories that I want you to aim for. So now what I want you to do is download an app called MyFitnessPal. It's free, you don't need the premium version. They will try to upsell you the premium version. You don't need it. I'm not affiliated to them at all. I've got no skin in the game here. Yeah, download that app, start tracking your calories. And at the same time, what I want you to do is aim for at least 120 grams of protein every day. Okay, so this is where we're starting to really dial things up. So at this stage, you're pretty much getting into a training program. You're going to start progressively overloading, and you're going to start, tracking your nutrition, making sure you're getting enough calories, getting into a calorie surplus, so it's easier for you to have more energy to push heavier weight to build the muscle, okay? And then last but not least is I want you to really start to dial in your sleep. So I want you to make sure that you're getting at least 7 hours of as high quality sleep as you can. Now that doesn't mean 7 hours in bed, that means 7 hours asleep. So you probably want to be spending 8 hours a night in bed. And as much as you can, try to go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time. Sleep with your door open to maximize the amount of fresh oxygen that can circulate throughout the room. Try to implement what I call a 3-2-1 rule, which is where you don't eat for 3 hours before bed, you don't drink water for 2 hours before bed, and you get off your screens 1 hour before bed, and make your room as cold as possible. I've done other videos on sleep. If you want to go back and check out my channel, you can find the blueprint to better sleep. There's a video there. You can find it's much more detailed, but that's the sort of top line. Okay, that's step 4. So there's a lot in step 4. And then step 5, to be honest, is more of a continuation of step 4, but you could call it step 4.5 if you wanted, but I call it step 5 because I think it's not necessarily more information, but it's probably the hardest step, because what I want you to do in step 5 is literally do everything I just told you in step 4 for at least 3 months, okay? So turn up, rinse and repeat. Take regular progress photos, don't ego lift, make sure you're progressively overloading, try to stick as diligently as you possibly can to your nutrition, to your calories and to your protein. Get inquisitive. Watch more free YouTube videos like this, get inspired by people who've got a great deal of knowledge. There's some fantastic channels out there. And if you do this step and you do it properly and you don't make excuses and you don't blame other people and you're diligent with it all, you will fall in love with the process at this point, because you will make insane progress. Like, I reckon maybe, I don't know, I'm guessing here, but probably less than 5%. Maybe, let's say 5%. Let's be optimistic. 5% of guys who do all of that in the first 3 months of them lifting weight. Well, there's only 5, that's what I mean, sorry. There are only 5% of guys who do this, but they're the ones who blow up. These are the ones who would be getting accused of being on steroids, but they're not. Because it's so tempting at this stage to jump between programs, to ego lift, to you probably get injured, to not track your calories properly, to not even be aiming for calories or aiming for protein or any of this stuff, to not sleep properly. But if you genuinely take everything I just told you in step 4, and if you missed anything, go back, re-listen to that couple of minutes, and you just did that for 12 weeks, solid, straight, no breaks, no excuses, just got it done. You would and you sent me a picture before and a picture after, it would be like you'd be a different person. I can absolutely promise you that. So that's probably like the most crucial step. Even though there's no new information, it's the implementation, it's turning up and it's the doing of it. That's the most important thing. Okay, so then step 6. So you're going to be 3 to 6 months, depending on how diligent you've been on step 5. This is where we're going to be up in the game a little bit more. So at this point, I would mix up your program. So I'd add some new exercises in. So, at this point, you'd be very confident on a set amount of exercises. I would now mix up that exercise. What I would do as well, please focus, I should have said this in step 4, but there was quite a lot of information in step 4. So let's save it for now. You only need to build a very good physique. You only need to be proficient in 6 movements. That's it. You need to be proficient in a horizontal push, a vertical push, a vertical pull, and a horizontal pull from upper body. And then you need to be proficient in some kind of leg press and a hip hinge movement. So just very quick examples there. A horizontal push could be a chest press, it could be a press up, it could be a dumbbell press. A vertical press could be a shoulder press machine or a dumbbell shoulder presses. Vertical pull could be a lat pull down, pull-ups, whatever it might be. And then horizontal pull could be cable rows. Yeah, it's probably the best example. Dumbbell bent over rows could be another good one. And then for the leg, for the press, you'd either be doing, as it sounds, a leg press, or maybe some kind of squat, so a dumbbell goblet squat, or a lunge movement, and a hip hinge movement, so something like a good morning or a Romanian deadlift or something like that, or even a hamstring curl machine, to be honest. If you get proficient in 6 movements where you can really feel the mind-muscle connection and you can feel the muscle that you know is meant to be working, and just go all in on those, you will get better results. Because I think, and I've made this mistake for a long time, I used to think that I had to do 15 exercises. And I'd be like, right, I've got to do that, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. But like half of them, yeah, I felt them, but I didn't feel them nearly as much as I did another exercise. And the reality is like 90% of my progress is being made in the exercises that I really felt. So I would say at this stage, at stage 6, step 6, find the exercises that you really feel, because at this point, you're going to be confident in the environment. You're going to know what feels like progress and what feels like an injury. You're going to be unconsciously competent at the movement. So what I mean by that is you're not necessarily going to have to think a lot when you're doing a set, unless it's like a really heavy set, which you shouldn't really still be doing at this step. You could, your brain could be over there because you've done it so many times at this point, because you've turned up for 12 to 24 weeks and you have done the work. So you're going to be very unconsciously competent. You could almost do your workout in your sleep. You might have even dreamt about your workout at this stage, if you're as weird as me, because I certainly have in the past. So at this point, rather than just letting your mind wander, I want you to really focus not so much on the form, because that's unconscious. What I really want you to consciously focus on now is the mind-muscle connection. So every single rep, I really want you to almost, the way I explain it is put your brain in the muscle. So let's say, for example, you're sitting on a chest press machine, right? And you're doing this, okay? And you know the form that works for you. When you're doing the rep, you can even close your eyes to do this, by the way. So it really dials in your senses. If I close my eyes and I do this, even with no weight, I'm focusing on the chest and actually like contracting and squeezing the chest. God, almost fell asleep then when I closed my eyes. So you really want to be doing that. You want to be focusing on the contraction of the muscle, because ultimately that is what we're doing here, guys. We're putting the muscles under stress and stimulus. We're trying to increase the contraction of the muscle, okay? And then what I would also do at this step is start to introduce some supplements. Nothing fancy. There's 5 that I would recommend you look at. So creatine, omega-3s, electrolytes, vitamin D, and a multivitamin. Multivitamin, just take 1 a day. Vitamin D, I would aim for 4,000 IUs. Electrolytes, I would just take whatever the recommended dose is first thing in the morning. Omega-3s, recommended dose again. Creatine, 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, first thing every single morning. Done. I would buy from a reputable brand, not from Amazon, where it's just the cheapest garbage they're going. and just be diligent with them. At first, again, because it's a new habit, if you need to, set a reminder on your phone so to make sure that you're not forgetting. So that's step 6. So at this point, step 6, that's going to be another 3 months. So minimum, this is going to be a 6-month period now. At the end of step 6, maximum, it's going to be a year. So going into step 7, you could have done all of this in 6 months. If you were incredibly diligent, you didn't skip a step, you followed everything to the letter, you could be doing this in 6 months. And then step 7 is really just then about the process and scaling everything that you have learned. And like I say, you can genuinely reach this process, this part of the process, this step, in 6 months, like genuinely. The chances are though that 95% of the people watching this won't, because they will go off track, they will catch shiny object syndrome, and they will start a new program, or they'll try a new exercise, or they'll ego lift and they'll get injured. They'll do something wrong. And that's fine, by the way, because we all make mistakes. I'm not, and no one else is expecting you to be perfect with this, but I do videos like this because I wish I could go back and have found something like this and just gone, okay, I'm just gonna listen to this random guy chatting on the internet and hope for the best. And I appreciate that you probably don't know who I am, and if you're still with me, awesome. But if you can put your faith in me and back it up, by the way, go and, like, if there's something you don't believe that I've said, or you think I've said it wrong or whatever, go and find someone to challenge it. I'm open to be challenged. I'm not saying my way is the right. Go and, you should be getting your sources of information from multiple places. But I suppose the main point I'm trying to make of the whole thing here is, don't look for the quick fixes, because they don't exist. All they are is they're a quick fix to you not making progress, to you getting injured. So yeah, that's it. 7 steps to go from complete beginner to genuine advanced lifter. What's crazy is that if you follow all of that, you could do that in 6 months. And in 6 months' time, you could be more advanced than the vast majority of guys, not just in your gym, but in any gym. Because if you have taken the advice in step 1 and joined like the scariest gym, you will be instantly training in an environment surrounded by basically professional bodybuilders. And you will be amazed how quickly you pick up their good habits. And then you could go to another gym, maybe you train with a friend, or you go away or something like that, and you train in, more of a commercial gym or something, and you will realize the bar is so much higher in these gyms because they're more niche. Whereas if you go into the commercial gyms, for the most part, it's guys who, they have the gym membership because they think it's more of a lifestyle decision. They're not training hard, they're not training with any program, they're not progressively overloading, they're not tracking any of their calories or their protein, they're not taking any supplements, they're training very irregularly, they're not looking after themselves or their sleep, none of this stuff. So that's what I'm saying, like the real win here is the consistency. So step 5 and 6, in the implementation, is the most important steps. But you can't do steps 5 and 6 until you've joined the gym, you've got confidence in it, and you've learned the information. So this is obviously, I could do individual videos on each step. And if you want me to do that, I'm more than happy to. So just leave a comment, let me know. Equally, if there's anything that you think you need more information on, like any of the steps, or if you think I've gone over something too quickly and you want me to deep dive into something a little bit more, then I'm more than happy to do that. Again, leave a comment, let me know. But yeah, look guys, literally, I'm actually quite pleased. I thought this would go on for a lot longer, but I managed to rattle that out in 29 minutes. So listen, I really hope this video was useful. All the usuals, like, comment, subscribe, share, tell all your friends, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, much love, much appreciated. And as always, I will see you tomorrow.